HAET, Half Asian Entertainment Television. Today we will be discussing the bystander effect. And we have a special guest today, David Teriyaki. You might remember him from Asian Entertainment Television.
Well, today we have a special guest. His name is David Teriyaki.
David Teriyaki will be informing us of how we will be able to reduce our carbon footprint.
Hello, my name is David Teriyaki. Hello, my name is David Teriyaki.
So, Mr. Teriyaki, what is the bystander effect?
The bystander effect is one of the greatest psychological and ethical phenomena of the century. It is a dilemma that occurs in critical situations where there are many spectators. What happens is that each individual will be less likely to intervene because they expect others to act instead. This is caused by diffusion of responsibility amongst the bystanders. The bystander effect is the lack of action that takes place in these situations.
So, you say diffusion of responsibility. Could you explain that further, Mr. Teriyaki?
The diffusion of responsibility is a thought process that convinces an individual that they are not obliged to interfere in a critical situation. This happens because they believe that there are other witnesses that will intervene or be better suited to do so. This is what causes the bystander effect to take place.
So, what makes the bystander effect such a major issue?
The bystander effect is very significant because it is a prime example of when our moral reasoning is clouded and how it affects the safety of citizens in our society.
So, how are you going to be able to demonstrate this bystander effect for us today?
Today I have brought a video with me. And with this video, we can observe how a bystander acts in a critical situation and what thoughts are going on in his mind.
Check it out.
Mr. Teriyaki here. We're out hunting for some emergency situation so we can catch some bystanders in action. Mr. Teriyaki, I don't think this is a very good idea. This is our victim. She is getting off the bus at the Jane and Finch stop. She is about to get mugged.
Hey you, give me your purse.
No! Hey! Come on! Stop that! This is mine!
This is our bystander, and this is probably what he's thinking. He sees this woman in an emergency situation. He is considering intervening, but he notices that there are also some other old Asians around too. He considers the possibility that one of them will either intervene or call the police. In the end, he decides not to intervene because there are others around. Since no one else is acting, he has concluded that no action is necessary in this situation, despite what his instincts may tell him. This is the diffusion of responsibility in action. He does not think that it is necessary to intervene, and that his actions do not have any moral value. In reality, by not acting at all, he is acting immorally.
Wow, that was quite interesting. So, Mr. Teriyaki, what is your opinion on this situation? Was that man morally obliged to intervene?
Yes, I think he was morally obliged to intervene. And this is because I believe that it is one's moral obligation to preserve the well-being of other individuals. However, this man was not aware that he was morally obliged to act, and this is mainly due to the diffusion of responsibility. He believed his own actions were unnecessary and would not be beneficial towards the situation. On the subject of praise and blame, Aristotle mentions that when one performs or fails to perform a morally significant act, this will usually merit praise or blame. In this case, the morally significant act would be intervening and aiding the victim. However, when several bystanders are witness to a situation, not only is the responsibility diffused, but also the blame. Therefore, when one individual decides not to act, and the group as a whole also does not act, the individual will most likely receive no blame for their inactions.
I see. So, with praise or blame, one is usually encouraged or discouraged. But when no blame is placed on an individual for their wrongdoings, they will not be discouraged from acting the same way in the future.
Yes, exactly that. And thus the diffusion of responsibility and blame will continue in a cycle, because no one wants to risk being blamed for something they did wrong by taking action and standing out. The initiative is too much for bystanders to take. This is also closely related to the idea of collective responsibility. The reason why blame is so easily diffused is because even when an individual as a bystander takes poor or immoral action in an emergency situation, their blameworthy actions will be diffused amongst the rest of the bystanders. Therefore, the original perpetrator may end up not being blamed at all, and thus will not be discouraged to perform the same actions in the future.
Oh, that's very interesting. I believe you mentioned that you have another video for us.
In fact, I do. I have the second part of my stalker video, demonstrating that the bystander effect generally only takes effect in situations with many bystanders.
This is the same girl, getting off at the same stop, and yet again she's about to get mugged by the same person.
Hey, give me your purse!
No!
Thank you so much.
This is our bystander. As we can see, this time, he actually intervened in the situation. This is because there are no other bystanders around. Therefore, there was no one else to diffuse the responsibility to. He is the hero of the day.
Wow, it is quite amazing how the second time around, with no other bystanders, the single bystander actually intervened.
Yes, as mentioned in the video, with no other bystanders present, the responsibility and blame can no longer be diffused, since there is no one else to diffuse it towards. The guilt and blame would then all be placed upon the single bystander if he chose not to act. Thus, the single bystander carries all the responsibility for acting by himself, and is then pressured to act by this responsibility.
Anyways, all this talk reminds me of this one case of the bystander effect I recently heard about. Are you aware of the case of Katie Genovese?
Yes, I've heard about this famous case, but I do not know the specifics. Please, if you could educate me.
Basically what happened, on March 13th, 1964, in New York City, Katie Genovese was on her way home, and she arrived home at her apartment complex at 3:15 in the morning when she was attacked and stabbed by a black male. She was stabbed twice in the back. She screamed for help, but her neighbors didn't think that she was in need of any help, or maybe it was just a lover's quarrel. She managed to stagger to the back of the apartment complex, and 10 minutes later, the attacker came back and raped her while she was dying and left her to die. A couple minutes later, somebody finally called the police arrived, and she was taken by ambulance to the nearest hospital but died on the way there.